Welcome once again to Utah Motorsports Campus here in Grantsville, Utah. It's time for the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West by Yokohama, race number 1 here in round 2. Amidst these beautiful mountains, we get to enjoy not only the view but the spectacular racing. I'm Joe Peak here with Ashley Freiberg once again. And Ashley, from what we saw in qualifying, things look like it's going to be interesting coming down into turn 1 because they get up to some immense speed.
Yeah, this track is actually super fast, like especially going into turn 1, 2, and 3 are all quick. There's actually a few areas on this track that will be interesting to see how people make opportunities of passing zones because there aren't a ton here. But as we saw in qualifying, it's really tight in the top 8 cars or so. So I have a feeling it'll be an adventure.
Certainly is, and here you can see some of the spectacular perspectives that you get, and of course some of the practice that we had a little bit earlier on in the weekend as the drivers got up to speed. We've had multiple test sessions as well as 2 official practices before we got to qualifying earlier on today, where we had a couple penalties as well that we'll go over in just a bit. But we're not sure whether or not track position is going to be king today, or if drivers are going to be able to try and make those overtakes out on the track as we get a view of it here, Ashley.
Yeah, as you can see, the straightaway is quite long heading down into turn 1. Again, super high-speed corner, pretty late apex there. So if you're wanting to make a pass there, you're going to have to be fairly aggressive coming down through turn 3 and 4. There will possibly be some passing opportunities into turn 5. We'll see how that goes. Same thing into turn 6, and then we come up towards our attitude corners, which are quite fun because it has a lot of elevation changes. So super fun track. We'll see how this goes.
All right. Well, looks like we're going to take a short break, but don't go away because we are coming back with the grid here in just a moment.
Hi, everyone. It's Laura Eli, driver of the 209 992 GT3 Cup car in the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West for a lap around Utah Motorsports Campus Outer Loop. Going down the front straight, it's very long. You hit 6th gear, going into turn 1, reach a maximum speed of about 150 miles an hour. Hard on the brakes, downshift to 3rd. Turn in, it's a late apex. Go back on the gas, now heading for turn 2. Turn 2 is a fast corner to the right. 4th gear, throttle maintenance. Going on the gas to turn 3. Another throttle maintenance corner, very little braking. Lots of fast corners here. Flat out through turn 5. Coming into turn 6. Turn 6 is a hard braking zone. Lots of passing here. Down to 2nd gear. Hit the apex. Back on the gas. Heading to turn 6. Turn 6, another opportunity for passing hard on the brakes. Downshift to 2nd. Late apex. Hard on the gas. Getting ready to go to turn 7. Turn 7's another fast, long right-hander. Lift. Stay on the middle of the track over to the right, going into the attitudes. Stay on the curb on the left, downshift, hard on the gas, back out on the top, heading to turn 10. Hard on the brakes, down to 3rd gear, hit the apex, back on the gas, heading to the next corner, going to upshift to 5th, downshift, hard on the brakes, go left. Hit the apex, stay right, going into the final couple corners, downshift to 2nd, hard on the gas, hard on the brakes, downshift to 2nd again, get down on the apex, and then this is wind up back to the front straight, and that's a lap around the Utah Motorsports Campus Outer Loop.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What?
WeatherTech. WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy. Enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Of course, also we had that wonderful lap there by Laura Eli to show us around this place from the driver's perspective. But now it is time for the grid here in race number 1 of round 2. Let's go through our 992 category, of course, here for this race, starting with Blake McDonald on the pole as Casey Dennis will try to see if he can stop him from taking victory here today outside of him. Then we get to row 2, starting in second today. Jim Walsh, pole for the Masters class with Kevin Woods starting next to him. Jim was very proud of that pole position, 3rd overall. Josh Connolly starts P5 as Sam Parnagian will begin in 6th spot. Then you've got Kyle Washington starting 7th, and James Lee going to begin in the 8th spot. Dmitry Novikov is going to begin in P9. He'll have Laura Eli next to him there on the outside of row 5. You've got Reinhold Kron starting in 11th place. James Larkins will begin from P12 next to him. And then our final row for the 992s is Michael Zweiback. He was one of those that was given a penalty. And Luke French, as well, will start from the very back in 14th, also penalized in qualifying. Here's our Caymans, Ashley.
On pole, we have Eli Kogan with a mega lap there to put his Cayman on pole. Second place is going to be Michael Gawke, who is also on pole for the Masters class. And then we've got Richard Kinsey starting 2nd in the Masters class, but he's going to be 3rd overall in the Caymans, with Sean Kalashadi there in 4th place overall. And then we have Greg Urbach will be starting in 5th.
There is your field of 19 cars for this one as the drivers warm the tires up, getting ready to go here today. That's not been the hottest day, but we have had a lot of sunshine. Do you expect that to warm up the pavement enough to give them some heat, or is it still going to be cool out there on the pavement, you think, Ashley?
Yeah, I would say right now is primary some really good conditions right now. You want to have a nice warm sun with cool air. Gives you some pretty good track conditions. It's also picking up some wind as well, so you want to think about that, especially if you've got a bit of a tailwind heading down into turn 1. You're going to want to potentially brake a little bit earlier because you will definitely have that extra speed going down in there.
I'm very curious to hear as well, before we get to the green here, you finally had a chance to get to ride around the track, and I'm just a pleb that, loves speed. You're a race car driver. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, this track is super fun. There's actually a lot more elevation change than I thought there would be. Almost every corner has a little bit of a dip in elevation as you approach the apex, and then it gains some elevation on the exits. Obviously, you've got the attitude corners, which I thought was probably my favorite part of the track. Lots of elevation back there. But as I was saying earlier, definitely some tricky areas to pass in. There's a lot of long duration corners that I think you'll really have to confidently stick your nose in there if you're wanting to make a position.
Yeah, it certainly seems like that as we get ready for the start here. And coming up to the final corner now, our pace car will relieve Blake McDonald of his presence as they exit out of release. He has control of the field as they get lined up nice and tight here. We wait for the green flag from the stand, and it's out. And it looks like it's a much better start there for Casey Dennis. He jumps ahead significantly coming down into turn 1. We wait to see what happens into that first corner as they fly into there. Could see a look down to the inside from Kevin Woods, who pokes his nose but decides not to do anything. McDonald fights back into this decreasing radius first turn. He's going to take second place right back there, Ashley.
Great start by Casey Dennis there. I'm almost wondering if Blake maybe missed a shift or something, but it looks like he's charging back forward again. Kevin Woods following tight behind Casey. Actually, he's ending up third right now and first in his class.
So Kevin Woods doing a fantastic job up there, sitting in third and leading his class there, as was mentioned, as a few of them try to dice coming down into Black Rock, seeing if they could take position. Didn't see if anything became of it. I don't see any dust out of our window, so it looks like they're good through there. So Dennis, Woods, McDonald, Dennis, McDonald, Woods, your top three. The tower will update here pretty soon to give you that correct order in a moment. But now they come up to the attitudes for the first time. Like you said, extremely blind. I got to think they got to go single file through here.
Yeah, timing your pass is going to be key here. It's a long race ahead, so you don't want to do anything too risky up front. Looks like Sam Parnagian also had a great start, jumping up into fourth overall. And James Lee went from 7th to 4th place. Is that what I see here? Definitely a big mix up there at the start.
I think you're right that, yeah, he's fourth in,
yeah.
Fifth overall. I think you might be right about him being fourth in Masters here. But they're coming around the last couple corners now up to the main straight, completing one lap. And it is still Dennis leading Woods, but not by much. They are starting to run away. Dennis leading McDonald, with Woods chasing them and a gap forming in behind them. So, yes, fourth in class for Lee behind Parnagian, who is on the podium in that 992 Cup class.
Also, Laura Eli started 10th overall, was 5th in her class. She jumped all the way up to 7th overall, 3rd in her class. So, we've got a battle going on here. Looks like Blake is looking to the outside of Casey. Casey's holding on there.
Wow, no, I didn't see how that started, but he finishes it coming up through workouts, and now into Scream, he is back up to the lead. So that was short-lived for Dennis. I'm sure he's not going to let him get away with it, though. McDonald ran into plenty of troubles in the first race back in Spring Mountain, so I imagine he wants to try and put that behind him and make up some positions here, make up some points that he had lost on that one. Also curious to see Washington and Eli kind of carry on the battle that they had back in Nevada as well.
Casey tucking in behind Blake there. I would take that opportunity to learn where those strengths and weaknesses are, keeping your tires underneath you. Again, we have 31 minutes remaining, so being smart in the long run is what's going to help here.
Exactly. It's 35 minutes plus one lap that these drivers usually race, so we'll expect them to have some time to try and sort this out here. However, it's not a long race, so you don't want to wait forever, as once again we return to the final two corners. Back-to-back hairpins, long, slow turns to wrap this up, but you definitely don't want to botch them because that exit onto the main straight, oh so critical.
And just watching those last few corners there, McDonald really has a solid car underneath him there. Casey was sort of hanging out wide there in that last corner. It looks like he has a little bit more of a handful to deal with, so we'll see how tire degradation comes into play as we come along here. Kevin Woods has a nice gap there between him and Jim Walsh with a couple of pro cars in between.
Is it just me, though? Oh, as Lee's going to try and make a pass on Parnagian. Doesn't look like it quite works out as they disappear behind the grass there of the hill and reappearing coming up through Dreamboat down into Workout. Didn't see who wound up ahead on that one, but I was kind of noticing it felt like Woods maybe was backing the pack up a little bit behind him.
Yeah, he did get a really good start there, so I'm sure he's just trying to hang on there as much as possible. He is 3rd overall, sitting 1st in class, so if I was him, I would be trying to keep those two pro cars behind me as long as possible to keep my lead. Haven't
talked about the GT4s all that much. These Caymans don't necessarily get as much praise, but they are just as much fun to watch. And Kogan's doing a good job up at the front currently as Galke continues to chase behind. Again, technically 2 different classes, but with so few out there, we kind of count them all as one in the Cayman class. And actually, I'm impressed that they're spread out as little as they are. That's definitely a good sign for Greg Herback there at the back in his first competitive race.
Yeah, exactly. And for the drivers that are new, this is a great opportunity to just learn from your competitors as well and see how you can capitalize on your own driving. There's always an opportunity for learning.
Certainly, and Galki behind Kogan doing his best to keep up with him, knowing that an overall win might help him out there. Having had one round already under our belts, of course, we've collected a number of points. So championship is always on the minds of these drivers, especially with not that many points races over the course of the season. We definitely have a big pack behind Woods that are all kind of nose to tail that goes all the way down to what I think is about ninth.
Yeah, Woods is holding his own, though. He's got a pretty decent gap behind him there between him and Parnagian, so we'll see what happens here. These cars are definitely very aero dependent, so the closer you get to the car in front of you, the harder it is to make a pass. So you have to be smart about it for sure, but Kevin's doing a great job.
And Galki is right now actually 12 points behind Kogan, so he's got work to do, and will want to try and hold on to him, if not eventually make a pass if he can get a little bit closer. Meanwhile, we watch Woods here being chased by Parnagian, who looks like he has rebuffed Lee, so didn't make that pass stick. Now he has to try and look forward as well as remain, I guess, a little bit defensive. You can see how close Lee still is behind him.
Exactly. And like I was saying before, this track is very fast. So the aerodynamics are going to come even more into play here, especially when you're trying to race other people.
Well, we wondered whether or not track position was going to be important. It's looking like maybe it is in the case of Woods. Maybe just, what do you think, fast in the right places on those corner exits?
Yeah, I would say your major passing opportunities are going to be into turn 5 brake zone. And maybe if you're good through the attitude corners, you can try to opportunize turn 11. But yeah, you're really only 2 major corners that you can make a pass work, which would be turn 5 and maybe turn 13. So you'd have to get a good exit in the corner beforehand to make sure you can get a good enough run to get up alongside.
Also, Jim Walsh is in there. I'm sure he's not too happy that he's lost that lead of class, too. But now he's got 2 of the 992 Cup cars between himself and his other Masters competitor, Woods, leading his class. So that's reason for him not to allow Parnagian or Lee to try and get by, because Jim's going to be hungry, especially after that first round and not getting the results that his speed seemed to imply.
Exactly. And up towards the front, we've got McDonald pulling away ever so slightly from Casey Dennis. He's about 1.2 seconds ahead. And then it's a pretty big gap back to Kevin Woods there, about 4-second gap there, with this whole group of cars, as you see, all racing each other for position. So it's going to be tough. Even into turn 1, you'd really have to stick your nose in there early. A lot of these corners are late apex corners, which means you don't get to the inside part of the corner until later on, which means you'll have to start very wide at the turn-in, which could leave opportunity for passing there, but it's risky for sure. And that's why you can see these guys sort of analyzing their competitors and trying to find the right opportunity.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I was going to ask, does that tempt some people to maybe try and make some aggressive moves at times? And, I mean, we saw Lee have a go at things, and it looks like he might be kind of setting up for that.
Yeah, he's super close behind San Parnagian there. So I'm sure he's just trying to figure out where the weaknesses and the strengths are. And as a driver, when you're trying to make those opportunities work for you, when you find that you have a weakness, you really analyze what that driver in front of you is doing so that you can at least stay close enough to where when you get to a corner that you're stronger in, you can make that opportunity happen for you.
Well, and if you're Jim Walsh, doesn't that also mean maybe he needs to try and tighten up here? Because I imagine if those two start fighting, that'll open some doors for sure.
Yeah, Laura Eli is really good in the long run on older tires as well. So who knows? She might get right up behind there and make a pass on Jim later on in the race.
Well, the pressure is definitely on for the 294, who so far has held everybody at bay. And good on Kevin Woods here. He's been running an excellent race. Like we keep saying, he had such a phenomenal start. We just had a car go by us down in pit lane. I think that may have been Conley. Yeah, there he is now. So that's the 299. And that is indeed Josh Conley, who returns to the track. Not sure if that may have been a penalty of some sort, or if he found himself just having to get the car looked over once. Does say the start is under review, I just found on our live timing, so not sure what they're looking at on there, but race control is taking a peek and making sure that everything was copacetic on that.
Yeah, from this angle, it looked okay. The green flag did get waved a little bit late, but from this angle, it almost looked like Blake maybe missed a shift or maybe started a little too high in the RPM ranges. Not really sure, but in this series, you can't pop out of line or make a pass before the start-finish line. You have to stay in your lane. So if you happen to be in a lane that maybe didn't get that jump, it definitely makes things challenging as the race goes on. And as you can see, Kevin, who was behind Dennis at the start, really took advantage of that, and now he's up in third. So it worked out for him.
Yeah. At least as long as he doesn't get a penalty on this one.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we're down to less than 25 minutes left to go. Top two are really running away. I know we've been watching this group, but I can tell you the gap has just visibly been growing bigger and bigger. But there's not much going on with them, so that's why we're not showing them. It's just basically those two running in line. And you can see on the tower just about a second between the pair of them. McDonald cannot slip up, and there he is on your screen now, still being chased by Dennis.
Interestingly, though, that last lap, Casey made up 0.4 of a second on McDonald. So you can see he's breathing down his neck there. So really anything could happen at this point.
It has seemed like, from what we've seen early on in the season, those two are some of the quickest that we've got out there. And now that they've had the chance to run away, that it's probably going to be between those two. Unless Laura really manages to charge through this group, I don't know how she's going to be able to run them down in time, even with how good she is late in the race.
Yeah, exactly. I think Laura is also just thinking about her own class and her own race. So she does have Jim Walsh, who is currently second overall in the Masters class. So for her to make that pass would definitely be good in the points.
Oh, the 7 getting very close. That's Kelishati on Galki. Don't know if we'll be able to get some pictures of that, but that was heading down to turn 1. And we haven't had much action in the Cayman class up to this point. So would love to see whether or not he was able to make that move coming down into the first corner. Regardless, as we continue to watch here with our top group coming off of Tuella Corner and down towards Clubhouse, it is still McDonald leading Dennis, and Conley just came through pit lane again, so there must be some sort of technical problem with the car.
Actually, it looks like Kevin Woods is starting to pull away the tiniest bit from that group behind him, so he is definitely having a strong race here. It looks like James is peaking on Sam Pargnagian, trying to find a good opportunity to get by him. He's definitely got quite a bit of pace.
Ooh.
Oh, and he drops wheels at the exit. Sam Pargnagian. We'll see if this is a good opportunity here into turn 1 for James Lee.
Yeah, there you can see just ahead of them, that was Parnagian, and I think he's going defensive. Yes, indeed he is, as Lee round the outside coming up into Sunset Bend, tries to outbrake him, can't quite do it. Can he duck back underneath for the over-under? Nope, nothing doing now.
Yeah, it's a tricky set of corners. I'm wondering if there's enough grip on the outside of 1. If you could just hang there, then you'll be slide, huge slide for James Lee. Oh, and it turns into a spin. No, what a bummer. He was doing so well. Definitely kind of cracked under pressure there, trying to get by Sam.
It's a real shame. I thought for sure he had a good shot at trying to get that position. At least he's able to carry on, but man, look at how many spots he lost with that train that had been forming up.
Exactly. Although I don't know if he lost class position. He may still be 4th in class, but yeah, man, that was such a good battle going on there. It looked like he just lost the rear there, maybe hanging on the brake the tiniest bit too long. These cars are quite sensitive to your inputs, so you got to, make sure you're really precise, which is tough when you're battling somebody else.
Well, he held on to it for the longest time. It just did not want to go, unfortunately. So this will promote Walsh, Eli, Novikov, and Washington all up a position at least. And, yeah, I think you're right that that's all Masters class drivers. So Lee saved the embarrassment of at least losing anything in class, but unfortunately that means that it looks like a podium is looking less and less likely.
Exactly. We've got right behind all of that action. Looks like Laura Eli's having a bit of a battle here. Between 6th, 7th, and 8th is all really close. I saw Laura kind of peeking there a few times on Jim as well.
Yeah, it looks like maybe she lost a bit of space. Not sure if she had a bad exit there somewhere, as Novikov is trying to set her up down into turn 1, but also not quite close enough. Less than 20 minutes to go now in race 1 of this weekend here at Utah Motorsports campus. And again, look at how close Novikov is through these sets of opening corners. Laura trying to regroup, maybe just get herself in a better spot.
Yeah, actually in that previous corner, she had a little bit of a wiggle there at the exit. So she might be developing some oversteer, which can be an adventure once the tires start to go. So hopefully it's nothing too crazy. She can keep it underneath her.
So we didn't see, besides, of course, James having his spin, much of a change. Oh, I'm seeing scoring showing him behind French. So French managed to gain a spot out of that. And honestly, that's something we haven't touched on. French is now up to 9th overall. Remember, he was 14th at the start due to his penalty. So this has been an impressive run by that 215 car.
Yeah, what a great turnout it is for French there. He would be 4th overall in class right now as well. James Lee is about 2.8 seconds behind. So we'll see if James maybe flat spotted his tires, maybe not. If he'll catch him later on in the race. We still have about 18 minutes remaining. Still quite a bit of time.
Interesting how all of them are taking that shallow line into that second to last corner there through windup. I would have thought they'd try to open it up maybe.
Looking back at the Caymans, Sean Kalashati is actually having a great race as well. He worked his way up to P2 overall behind Eli Kogan in the lead.
I'm also noticing Galke showing 1 lap behind. And did he come down pit lane as well that we missed?
When he drove by, there was a funky sound coming out of his car, so I'm not sure if he has some kind of car issue.
Thought I saw maybe Reinhold Kron was in a bit of a battle there for a brief moment down the front stretch, but that may have dissipated. We'll check on that in a bit. That would have been for the 11th position there, at least in the 992 Cups. So drivers still trying to make it to the checkered flag, although it sounds like maybe some having some technical issues that might not allow them to get there. And that's certainly going to be a shame if we get a few DNFs on this one. I know Conley, you can see, is all the way down at the very, very back of the field. There is the 7 of Kalashati. Oh, and there's Galke now. Oh, man. After looking like he could maybe get himself another second place and recoup some points, they've slipped out of his fingers.
Yeah, such a bummer. He was running so well there, so hopefully it's nothing too crazy. He can get back out for tomorrow. It's not looking super promising right now, though.
No, because nobody's hurrying around the car like there's, something they can fix in time. So that to me says maybe that's kind of day done for them. But regardless, there is your leader in the Caymans. This is Eli Kogan, a young driver that has shown himself to be fairly quick, honestly, and is coming in to try and take another victory this season after he didn't even get, I think he didn't complete the first lap of the first race, if I remember right, at Spring Mountain. So what a bounce back he's had.
Exactly. Yeah, Sean Kalashati was not at the last race weekend either, so it's cool to see him up there with Eli. Looks like all the way up front in the 992s, McDonald has pulled a bit more of a gap, about 2.4 seconds behind. We have Casey Dennis, Kevin Woods holding his own still, and then behind Kevin, we've got that group of cars with San Parnagian. Jim Walsh super close behind. We'll see if he makes an opportunity there to make a pass. Laura as well. They're all within a few tenths of each other.
It's been that way for a good portion of the race. And for the most part, it's been Woods at the front, but now it seems to have switched over to Parnagian now that Kevin seems to have his feet underneath him and has been running away. Again, I can't get over the views that we have here, and we've got a fantastic drone cam that's been showing us what it's like from a bird's eye view as well around here. I mean, when we say it's surrounded by mountains, that is literal. It is mountains every side that you look.
I would say it's probably one of the most beautiful backdrops I've seen at a racetrack, but I'm also a big fan of mountains, so
yeah,
I might be biased. I don't know.
Same. Absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned Kalashati there. Second place, certainly an excellent one here. He has raced before, but his background, strangely enough, is he's a plastic surgeon, and has decided he's been bitten by the bug of racing some time ago. Since then, has found a decent amount of success. Now he's going to try his hand here at Porsche Sprint Challenge, but he's got to make up almost 4 seconds on Eli if he wants to take a win here today in his first race of the season.
Yeah, actually his lap times are pretty solid. He actually went a 10th faster than Eli that last lap, so Sean's just kind of holding his own back there.
Ooh, things starting to get a little bit close here as Josh Conley. Is that Lee with him? Well, with Conley should be laps down, though, so I don't think this should be a battle for position.
That's actually Casey Dennis lapping
Ooh.
Josh Conley there.
Ooh.
And then you've got Blake up there with a nice clean track. So Casey's got a little bit of a lot going on there with the Cayman as well, but looks like he's nice and clear.
It didn't seem like Josh was making that all too easy for Casey, but he found his way around eventually with that 3 wide. I got a little nervous that maybe we'd have something to take out one of our front runners accidentally. Regardless, that should have cost Casey a little bit of time. We'll see what the gap is next time they cross, as there is your leader in the 2:08. Has not led every lap, seemed to have a bit of a false start there and lost the lead temporarily, but is definitely leading comfortably now at this stage. So maybe this lap traffic will shake things up a little bit. In fact, look at Parnagian suddenly under pressure from Walsh.
Oh, yeah. And I see Laura's taking a peek there, Dimitri as well, and Kyle Washington. It's kind of like everyone's sort of just waiting to pounce. So
very much so.
The lap traffic is definitely going to make this interesting.
So can Parnagian withstand the pressure here as they come over? Oh, and okay, no, that's a lapped car, excuse me, that I just saw. I thought maybe there had been a pass made in that group. And again, that lap traffic often offering up opportunities if you stay diligent there. They're all going to be able to get past. I think Washington, definitely one of them, is Novikov, now under threat down the main straight. He knows it. He's going to go slightly defensive. So as they enter towards turn 1, will he be able to slice up the inside? The white car of Washington takes a big look, but unfortunately can't quite make the overtake.
So we just got word of what took place at the start initially. The green flag was thrown just a little too early, but Casey actually went right at the green, and McDonald was waiting for the start zone. So that's what happened there. It was just a little offset. Oh my goodness, there's some action going on here with the lap traffic.
Oh, and is that a car off? We saw some dust kicked up. That is definitely something off the track there. Just can't quite make out who. And nothing is there, so they must have made their way back on. That was bizarre.
Yes, it was.
We'll try and get some information on what happened there, but it's definitely somebody was off the course out through Scream. We just couldn't quite see it through all the dust of who it was. I guess we'll look for the dirty car, and that should probably wind up being the culprit once we spot him.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm wondering maybe if it was one of the lapped cars, or actually Kevin might have lost a little time there. Maybe he dropped a wheel there.
Could have been. And still going by her back there. Some of our cars having to try and navigate. He's been doing a good job with this traffic, though. Seems like he is letting them by in good time. Novikov not out of the woods yet. I think Washington's going to get a second bite of the apple. All he needs here is a good exit, and he does force Novikov to be offline coming into the corner. That'll give the better exit to the super fuel machine, and he is indeed right in the tire tracks, Ashley.
Yeah, we'll see if he makes an opportunity here into turn 1. It's going to be last second if he does. Oh, he's taking a peek to the brakes. Got some smoke coming up there from dirt on the track. Oh, contact. Kyle ran into the back of Dimitri there. We'll see what the race officials think of that.
Thankfully, a lot of paved runoff there to the outside, so the car didn't hit anything. Hopefully, it doesn't drift back into the racing line. Okay, it looks like nobody was coming. Whoa, that was our leader, though. And he's got the flashers on. Something must be wrong with the car. He gets it going and finally is on his way. But that slow drift down to the apex would probably not go well down in race control.
Yeah, anytime you spin, you want to go straight to brake so that you're predictable for others.
I'm glad he's able to get it running once again. So now Washington gets promoted up. The question is he going to receive a penalty for the contact that he made coming into Sunset Bend, which means that what was a big group of about 6 or 7 cars earlier in the race is now dwindled down to just 3. And Parnagi and Sam has got himself maybe a little bit less pressure, but not a lot less. He's still been dealing with a mirror absolutely full of Jim Walsh.
Yeah, it's been an interesting race as we're progressing here. It actually looks like this group might be running down Kevin Woods ever so slightly, but if they start to battle, they'll lose that ground for sure. And Laura's right up there as well. She's definitely peeking on Jim. Jim's got it from both sides here, although I'm sure he's just focusing forward on making that pass on Sam.
Yeah, Jim was about 0.2 faster than Sam that last lap. Laura is about 0.3 slower, so she must have been very close last time. Through Jim now is going to try and make an attack into the first turn. He gets his nose there. He's given space as Sam, survival instincts definitely kicking in, making sure that he doesn't wreck both of them.
Yeah, great job by Sam being super aware there, giving that racing room.
I thought for sure he'd have an excellent opportunity there, but he'll come back at him, regroup, and see if maybe he'll get a better chance, or maybe he'll try right here at Black Rock.
Late decision there. He's trying to catch him off guard. He did. Look at how wide Sam is there on the exit. Just trying to get in his head. Oh, it looks like he's making it work. Let's see what we've got. And he does. Nice job there by Jim Walsh.
Beautiful stuff. Scared him off the racing line. That gave him the better grip, and he finished the job. In behind them, is that a lapped car that they were going by? That looked like maybe Kogan. I think that they went past there. No, excuse me, that was Laura still with them. So Laura unable to try and get by in the melee that happened in front of her, but I don't think this one is over yet. Still 6 minutes left to go, and things ramping up. I guess with the limited time left, drivers starting to feel like it's time to make some moves.
Yeah, Sam's not giving that up easy. He is right on the tail of Jim Walsh there. And as you can see with these passes that you're having to make, you really got to stuff your nose in there last minute. So being aware, again, nice job by Sam being super aware and giving that racing room. Ooh, he's got a little bit of understeer there. He might have lost his tires a little bit and might give Laura an opportunity to get by.
Yeah, I would think that just one battle, it almost kind of compounds on it, both mentally and with the tires. As soon as you get passed by one, maybe a little bit rattled and not focused on what you need to.
Yeah, and also keeping in mind that both the cars around him are not in his class. So in some cases, if you want to just finish the race, it might just be better to give a space up.
That's a good point.
Yeah, Sam is still third over in his class, 5th overall. But then that puts Sam in between Jim and Laura, who are both racing for position there.
Yeah, both Masters class drivers. So, and then that's for swapping podium positions. A second place would be much better for Laura than just kind of resting on third if she can. Now that Jim's got that buffer, that'll make life all the harder for the pair of them. And we've been seeing most of the field spread out in these last laps, but this group just cannot seem to get away from one another. Although Jim looks like he's kind of putting some distance now.
Yeah, Jim has some pace there. We're seeing he's actually starting to run Kevin down. And that would be for the lead of the Masters class. So he's got a little less than 5 minutes remaining. So he could make it work as long as he's super tidy and consistent.
Yeah, that's a good point. That Jim's probably going to be a bit frustrated, I'm sure. Remember, he started on pole and lost that at the start of the race, at least pole in class, rather. If he's faster than Kevin, then all this time spent stuck in that group has potentially cost him a class win.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough to pass here, though. So I really feel like that was just the best opportunity that Jim had, is just sort of waiting until Sam just started to lose the tire.
Let me check the lap times here. 57.6 for Kevin Woods. 55.9 for Walsh. Now that he is in the clear, he is absolutely flying. In fact, his last lap was the same pace as Casey Dennis in second.
That's super impressive. So that's about, a second and a half quicker than Kevin Woods. So he's definitely going to be charging forward, running him down. He's only a second behind Kevin. So it's definitely possible.
211 looks like making a move there. That's Larkins passing Novikov. We don't know if maybe Novikov has some lingering damage or some handling problems after that contact earlier on. And Larkins now up to 11th overall, but that'll put him 6th in class, I believe. Yes, 6th in class.
And in the middle of the pack there, it looks like James Lee did make that position on French. So James is now back up into 4th place in class, 7th overall.
This is going to be a proud moment for James Larkins, no doubt. He has come up from some NASA series races, but this is his first race beyond that level, first competition beyond that level of racing, and said that, he just wanted to try and see how he fares against drivers of this caliber and what is sometimes a little bit faster equipment as well. But the big thing for him that's important is he's actually a local, so he wants to perform well here as well.
That's awesome.
So our leader still is Blake McDonald in the 992 Cup class. In the Masters 992s, Kevin Woods leading. But for how long can Jim Walsh manage to overtake him while Eli Kogan is your leader in the Caymans ahead of Sean Kelishati down behind him. 2 minutes left in this race, plus 1 lap, we have to remember. So the drivers will have to circulate one full time once the clock hits 0. They'll come back and get the white flag with the 1 to go.
We actually didn't see that last lap. Eli did make that pass on Sam Parnagian, so I have a feeling Sam might have used his tires up early on in the race, trying to keep up with Kevin, who was pulling away.
And you wonder if maybe he kind of put his hand up and said, this isn't for class position. Let's just let him through and bring home what is going to be a podium rather than let James Lee catch up to me if we battle or slip off the track like a few drivers have already done in race 1 today. Gap up at the front is actually about 4 seconds between Blake and Casey. So McDonald has been managing this one well. Casey's kept him, I'd say, at least decently honest.
Yeah, and as you're going along here, there's a lot of controls inside the car that the driver has the ability to adjust to have the car handle a little bit better as you're going along here. So for example, your ABS settings make a big difference, especially in these bigger brake zones, or even in the long sweeper corners, you might be adjusting the bias separate from the ABS settings. So there's definitely a few things you can do to keep the car adapting as the track changes and as the car is changing.
That was the 2 to go for Blake McDonald as he crosses start-finish line. So we'll get the white flag next time by, now that the clock should tick down to 0. As for Walsh, he's looking very strong coming off the final corner out of our window right now. And I don't think he's close enough to pass yet, but that last lap, 56.0 for Kevin. Jim was a 55.6, another 4 tenths faster.
Kevin's definitely stepping on the throttle, though. He is going a lot quicker these last couple laps, seeing Jim in his mirrors running him down.
On screen is Blake McDonald heading down into Black Rock hairpin. Series of slow back and forth hairpins here. It switches back, coming towards the combination of right hook and knockout. Both of them very interesting, unique corners that you have to try and navigate through here before it unleashes you up towards Witchcraft.
After Witchcraft, you're heading into the Attitude corners pretty quickly, back to back here. Not really many opportunities to make a pass, but if you get a good run coming out of the last Attitude corner, you might be able to make an opportunity here into turn 11. Pretty decent sized straightaway. Heading up into 13.
Just noticed we saw the flag stand there. I think that was in Tooele, that there was a debris on track flag. So not sure what's going on. There's up the inside into Black Rock. That looks to be Novikov on Zweiback. This is going to be for 12th position overall. Michael can't quite get the over-under. And as he tries to poke his nose, he gets rebuffed down into right hook. White flag is out for Blake McDonald. He just went by us. One more lap to go. So now it comes down to it. Can Woods hold off for a potential class win here for one more lap? He just went by the start-finish line as well with Jim behind him. And that time, Kevin was actually quicker by about half a second.
Yeah, he's definitely focusing forward, holding on to that lead all the way till the end here. He did pull a little bit on Jim by about 6/10 that lap. Laura Eli hanging on to third place in class with Sam Parnagian right behind her in third in class as well.
Blake McDonald leading the points coming into this weekend's event. And with about half a lap to go, he's looking at taking another victory here over Casey Dennis, who is not actually behind him in points. It's Sam Parnagian. So probably another reason why Sam didn't really want to give up too many positions, just in case something happened up ahead, that it could at least capture a few more points. But the 2:08 of Blake McDonald, who has just been looking fantastically quick, maybe had one of the smallest little errors at the start, and at first it looked like it was going to be a major drama, but he has certainly recovered with 3 more turns to go here down into Clubhouse and then into the windup. Just one more to go for that bright yellow and black machine to wrap this one up. Here is release, and it is going to be a sweet release for Blake McDonald as he now spots the checkered flag and weaves in victory here at Utah Motorsports Park.
Great drive by Blake there, and you can see his car was just super solid, really smooth the entire race, and that showed.
Also our class leader in the Masters. He's still ahead, and that looks good to me. Not close enough for Jim, but an excellent start for Kevin Woods. Gives him victory in the 992 Masters. Now we have to look to Eli Kogan in the 50. There he is now, coming through the last couple of corners. He went from a last place finish in the very first race of the season to a win in the one immediately following that in the number 50 car to make it back-to-back wins in the Cayman class for Eli Kogan.
And a great job by Kevin Woods. He had quite the story coming in to this morning. He had quite a few gearbox issues coming in, and then here he comes with a win to end the day. So I'm sure that him and his team are super stoked about this.
That was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, how late was it in qualifying that we saw it took him to eventually get a quick lap in as well? So what a rebound and capitalizing on the craziness at the start to really get himself into an excellent spot, almost fighting for the lead at one point up there. But there is your overall winner of Blake McDonald, who is going to bring it back around to give himself a chance to celebrate. But of course, we are not done. We'll have another race tomorrow afternoon as well. So the drivers will have to turn around and do it all over again. And that'll, of course, be at 11 a.m. Mountain Time here in Utah.
Yeah, it's important to, after this race, go back to your team and go over the data, and who knows what kind of adjustments you'll have to make. But it will be different conditions tomorrow since we are starting a little earlier in the day. Although it is going to be a little warmer tomorrow as well, so that could be a difference in tire pressure, maybe a few small adjustments.
Exactly. So definitely the job not done. As you can see, we've got the cars getting ready to head back to the podium ceremonies. Here is your unofficial results, with Blake McDonald winning overall, Casey Dennis finishing second in that 992 Cup class. It was Kevin Woods who won the Masters but finished third overall. Another thing he's got to be very proud of himself about, holding off Jim Walsh, who managed to chase him down but couldn't do anything once he got there. Laura Eli finishing third with another podium, 3 straight podiums to start off the season for her in Masters. Sam Parnagian on the podium, but 6th overall in the Cup class, the 992 Cup cars. Luke French managing to get all the way back up to 7th after being sent to the back of all the Cup cars. It was James Lee finishing 8th today, with Kyle Washington in P9. Reinhold Kron losing a couple spots late in the race, finishing 10th. Novikov, unfortunately, having a little bit of contact with Washington. And I can report that that's going to be reviewed post-race, it looks like, from race control. James Larkins, in his first ever Porsche Sprint Challenge race, comes home in 12th. Michael Zweiback rounds out our 13 cars that were on the lead lap. Conley, of course, was at the back of the field. How about those Caymans, Ashley?
Yes, Eli Kogan with a very nice lead there to take the win at the end. Sean Kalashaki did a great job finishing second overall in the Cayman class. We've got Richard Kinsey first in the Cayman Masters class, but third overall. Greg Herback in 4th, Josh Conley in 5th, and Michael Gawke in 6th.
So this definitely was educational, because this is the first time I've been to this track. This is one that's a gap in your resume. You haven't raced here before. So what do you take away from this race? If you were one of the coaches for these drivers heading into tomorrow's race, what would you be trying to emphasize to them?
Yeah, I mean, kind of rewinding back to qualifying, I think your starting position is definitely crucial here, as we saw, and capitalizing at the very, very start to make those positions happen. And then once the race starts going, I mean, it's really challenging to make a pass here. So really just keeping your tires underneath you by being as smooth as possible as you're driving, and just hope that the drivers around you are driving a little bit harder than you are, so that later on in the race you can start to stick your nose in there. But certainly you have to be smart with your passes. As we saw, it's easy to have contact if you make that pass a little bit too last minute. You have to be very confident in making those passes. So definitely an adventure.
Yeah,
I would love
sure.
to try racing here for sure.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, it looks like a fun track, even if it is a little bit difficult trying to get those overtakes done. And drivers certainly have to play nice with one another, leave a little bit of space if they want to get away with it. There you can see Parc Fermé, as drivers will be heading over to the podium ceremonies shortly, and I'll be there once they're ready for that as well. So that should be a fun time, getting to spray some champagne. So make sure and stick around for that. But they'll have to, of course, pass inspection as well. And I mean, we've had some penalties back at Spring Mountain after the races, so that's not a foregone conclusion. You have to be within the rules and pass that one up to make sure and collect your trophy. But it sounds like we are going to head on over to those podium ceremonies in just a moment. Stick around. We'll be back after a short break to hand over the trophies.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? Weather tech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com. It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? Weather tech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Where you will see Nicole with her hands up. So head up.
They did this to me at the first race too. It looks dumb.
Whatever you want.
Where Nicole is standing off to the right-hand side. All right, it's time for our podium ceremonies here for race number 1 at Utah Motorsports Campus. We're starting with the Cayman Masters. Finishing in third today in the number 99, it's Michael Golke. Finishing P2 in the Cayman Masters, racing the number 49, Greg Hellback. And winning in the number 28, it's Richard Kinsey. Richard, excellent race out there. It looked like things got a little spread apart early on in the Caymans. Did it feel like that, or did you feel under pressure?
Well, it got spread out, and then the second half was under pressure. Things compacted, expanded, and compacted. It was under pressure mostly.
It looked like within class passing was difficult. What about with the 992 Cup cars coming through? Was it hard managing that traffic?
Well, it worked out pretty well. It's always hard, but I think we timed it pretty well this race.
I'd say so. Anybody you want to thank for today's victory?
Oh my gosh, the whole auto team. Thanks, everybody.
Great stuff there. There's our podium for the Cayman Masters. Let's hold up our hardware and show it off for the cameras. And of course, it wouldn't be a podium celebration without spraying the champagne. We spray the champagne slowly. There we go. Again, that was our Cayman Masters podium. And okay. Gotcha. We need Kinsey back though. And of course, we have our Apexon Award, which goes to the number 28 driver of Richard Kinsey. The Apexon Award is for the driver who makes the most passes, the hard charger. Now we head off to the Cayman Pro-Am. Finishing second in the number 7, Sean Kelishati. And then taking the win in the number 50, it's Eli Kogan. Eli, excellent stuff out there. We were commenting how you started out this season finishing last in class because you didn't even get to complete the first lap. Now you've gone back-to-back wins. This has got to feel pretty good.
Feels good, yeah. I can't complain. It's Mother's Day weekend, so shout out to the moms here. And my mom let me borrow her car again, and it's my wife's first Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Oh, well, congratulations. I was going to say, does your mom get to keep the hardware? Is that her trophy, or do you get to take that home?
I think she gets to keep it.
I think that's fair. That sounds like a great Mother's Day present. Is there anybody else you'd like to thank for this win?
My team, I had to miss testing yesterday, so came into practice and qualifying this morning blind, and the car was perfect. So thank you, team.
Great stuff. Let's show off our hardware here for the cameras for our Cayman Pro-Am. And then, of course, why don't we spray some champagne?
Hey, little one, it's not water. That's against the law on many fronts. We're all nipping, Joe.
All right. This now brings us to the 992 Masters. Finishing third in the number 209, it's Laura Eli. Then coming home, P2 in the number 269 with a hard battle at the end, Jim Walsh. And with his excellent start, bringing him up to the front, he held off a hard-charging Jim. It's the number 294, Kevin Woods. Kevin, what an impressive start to this race. Was that a little bit scary with everything going into turn one?
That's a little scary, yeah, but I think we all managed pretty well, at least from my perspective. And Blake made a good pass, so I figured I'd just settle in behind him and try to keep up with those two, but it was tough.
Speaking of the nerves, you kind of had it bookended in that sense because Jim was coming up on you pretty quick. Did you think you could hold him off?
At first, when I saw him, he was coming really hard. I thought, wow, what's he got, new tires? Did he pit? What's going on? But no, it seemed to stay at about 5 car lengths or whatever it was. So I think I could manage, but he still closed up a little bit at the end, though. Good job by him.
Well, we were definitely impressed up in the booth by you holding off such a long line of cars the whole race long. Congratulations. Is there anybody that helped put you in victory lane?
Oh, wow. Everyone at BR Racing. I won't go into all the details, but we had a rough weekend, and the team pulled through and did an amazing job, got me out for qualifying after hardly any practice. So this is amazing, and this is for the team.
Great stuff there. That's our winner, Kevin Woods, for the 992 Masters. Let's show off these wonderful trophies to the cameras. And of course, though they work hard, they play hard. So let's spray the champagne. Finishing third in the number 257, Sam Parnagian. Then finishing P2, driving the number 274, Casey Dennis. And overall winner, driving the number 208 from pole position, Blake McDonald. Blake, you managed to run away a little bit there at the end, but let's talk about the start. Looked like you lost out a little bit. Were you just caught napping? What happened?
Don't worry. I won't let that happen ever again.
I like that response. But after you managed to get back to the lead, did you feel comfortable? Did you feel like, okay, I'm in control now?
Yeah, I mean, I think Casey and I had pretty similar pace throughout it. Probably managing tires a tiny bit through it, but yeah, it was a pretty comfy race.
You said you won't let it happen again. So are you going back to back? Are you going to win tomorrow afternoon?
Probably.
All right, I like the confidence. Congratulations. Anybody you want to thank for today's win?
I mean, the team, my teammates, my friends, my support system in this racing stuff has been like perfect for me, and I love it. So all of them.
Great stuff. That's our winner here today, Blake McDonald for the 992 Pro-Ams. Let's show off our trophies for the cameras. And of course, for the last time today, let's spray some champagne! Well, the celebrations are not over for today. We have more over at the Porsche tent, the hospitality tent right behind us, with beef medallion, pizza, and hot dogs. But of course, we will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.